Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. Happy April 16th. This month is just flying by, isn't it? So today we're going to continue our conversation of social injustices by looking at this idea of hashtag activism, which is represented in this article titled, "What is the Real Impact of Hashtag Activism?" I think this is a very interesting article. However, I'm also the one who chose it, so I might be a little biased. And per our conversation yesterday defining those vocab words, we all know now what bias means, right? So yes, I might be a little biased that this is a great article. However, again, I'm the one who chose it. So let's head on right into this. But actually, before we do that, I want to talk about this idea of hashtag activism quickly. So a lot of you are familiar with hashtags, I would assume, because a lot of you are on social media. But even if you're not, you should have a general idea of what a hashtag is. And basically, hashtags are just a way for people with similar ideas to kind of collaborate together on a social media platform, whether that's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook even uses hashtags. People can hashtag a word or a phrase within their post, and it'll automatically link them to other people who are having these discussions and topics. Sorry. So we are going to read a little bit today on how people who use these hashtags can promote social justice activism, how they can kind of jumpstart a revolution or band people together to start fighting for these issues. And it's interesting to think about how all of these kind of rallies began through a tweet or an Instagram post using a hashtag. So we're going to jump on right into this article. So again, what is the real impact of hashtag activism? It is an ongoing question for scholars researching social media regarding the extent to which it can serve to facilitate social activism and ultimately lead to political change. For instance, Yang identifies that, quote, "One of the most interesting developments in digital activism in recent years is the rise of hashtag activism, meaning discursive protest on social media united through a hashtagged word, phrase, or sentence." This researcher goes on to use the example of the hashtag Black Lives Matter movement as an important demonstration of the power digital activism can have in raising visibility and awareness around issues that may be neglected by traditional or elite media. Hashtag activism can be a powerful way to control a narrative regarding a common cause that has either been neglected or misrepresented by corporate media, and it offers the opportunity of communal participation across the globe. For instance, in the case of hashtag Black Lives Matter, this hashtag has become a unifying theme of multiple stories around racial injustice. As newer movements have emerged online, I started to think about their their potential impact on the larger culture. And I want to pause here really quickly, because hashtag Black Lives Matter kind of is jump starting or drawing more attention to the idea of racial profiling, police brutality that we've seen in recent years, and that's actually going to be the focus of our next week's lessons. Everything we're going to be discussing, we're going to be looking at racial profiling, racial inequality, and kind of how that hashtag the Black Lives Matter movement came about and kind of pushed those issues along. So this is a very good kind of segue into next week. Let's keep going here. What constitutes a successful movement if it starts as a hashtag? Is it enough to raise visibility or bring awareness to a given issue for the online activism to be labeled successful? Or does it have to lead to systematic change in some way? What will ultimately come of the trending hashtags from hashtag MeToo and hashtag Black Lives Matter and other emerging online movements for the groups they represent? Social activism is defined as deliberate action to bring about social change, or presumably social media has become just another tool with this larger goal for activism. This implies that while raising visibility of an issue is critical and can be facilitated by social media through hashtag activism, this has to be just one step in a larger process of social justice. In other words, hashtag activism doesn't necessarily make a social activist per se, unless there is other work on the ground being done to facilitate the change. So that means that it's not enough just to hashtag something and expect a change to happen. The hashtag is great in jumpstarting the issue and getting people interested and invested and involved, but then it's your job, or kind of the group's role as a collective, to then take the hashtag or take the ideas presented on social media and put them into action, right? It's not enough to just say it, you have to do it. Actions speak louder than words. Let's keep going here. To take the case of hashtag March for Our Lives and the Never Again movement, many mainstream commentators have been asking, what constitutes success? For instance, in a piece for The New Yorker, John Cassidy asks in the title, will the March for Our Lives lead to real change? The ultimate goal of this student-led movement appears to be legislation to strengthen gun control in the nation. The marches they organized in March, in the aftermath of yet another tragic mass shooting in our schools, was one of the biggest rallies for gun control in the nation's capital, and spawned over 400 other protests on the same day around the nation. Thus far, our system remains the same. However, and the NRA grip on Congress and our politicians doesn't appear to be weakening. So, although the hashtag didn't cause a direct change, we kind of are moving towards a society in which those changes which the protests were advocating for are actually happening. Meaning, if you ask me in my personal opinion, that the hashtag was successful in kind of drawing attention to this issue. People have different ideas and opinions regarding that, but it has shown that because there were so many protests and people shouting and using and familiar with this hashtag, that because of the hashtag trending, it did actually cause a change or cause people to care about this change. Here is what this case of hashtag activism, which is ongoing, has accomplished so far. In addition to the historical day of marching, they have registered people to vote, organized and attended town halls, and forced the corporate media to contend with a different narrative regarding access to guns in our nation and the safety of all Americans. Those could be pointed to as indicators of success. However, it remains to be seen if the change in public discourse regarding safety and guns in our nation will actually lead to institutional changes and safer gun policies, which is ultimately the only surefire way to prevent mass shootings from being such a common occurrence in our nation. The takeaway? Hashtag activism is a great way to get involved in social justice issues, but it should not be seen as the endpoint to social activism. Ideally, for those of us seeking to change our culture for the better, this will become a first step in introducing potential activists to like-minded peers, connect and organize events, learn more about issues, and begin the often long and arduous process of social activism. What is trending regarding activism on social media can come and go, but meaningful social activism generally requires patience and sustained attention and work. As Cassidy quotes one of the Parkland survivors and Never Again leaders, quote, "We understand that this is a marathon and that we'll be fighting for years. We're just getting started. Now we have to use our rights as voters to make things change." And to think, in the aftermath of that devastating Parkland shooting, this all started with a hashtag. So, although the author of this article does not directly say if social activism is 100% the answer and is helping change our society, she did kind of point out that it is, although not the end-all be-all, meaning it's not the only thing people are doing, but it is laying the groundwork, or it's the starting points to actually drawing attention to issues that need to be changed. And although we haven't seen major changes, we have seen more comments or more people talking about these things, meaning more people are educating themselves on specific issues and getting involved and kind of understanding that there is a group of people out there also passionate about the things they're passionate for. So, now that we've read through that article, and feel free to read through it again if you need to, we're going to move to our activity for today, which is hashtag activism matching. So listed on the left or over here are 8 hashtags used to promote various social justice issues. All of these hashtags help shed light on issues and draw attention to stop the spread of hate and violence. Not only did it draw awareness, but it sparked multiple protests to allow people the opportunity to vocalize their concerns for and fight to change these issues. So, your assignment is to match each hashtag with the issue they're representing. You can either research these hashtags or use the context clues to support your ability to match them with the correct issues. So your job is to read through all of these over here, these 8 hashtags, and then on the bottom listed A through H down here, these are the issues that each of these hashtags are representing. So meaning, and this is not the right answer, if I think the hashtag Black Lives Matter was fighting for sexual violence against women, fighting like against sexual violence against women, I would put the letter A on the line here next to Black Lives Matter. Again, that is not the correct answer. That's just an example. So you guys will match each hashtag to the issue down here that they're representing. Again, if you need to do some research, by all means, feel free to do so. However, I'm confident that you guys can figure them out based on the context of each of the issues. Okay, so I'm just going to read through them for you all now so there's no confusion. So the first hashtag we have here is hashtag Black Lives Matter, and actually this one was discussed in the reading, so you might find your answer back in that reading. The second one is hashtag March for Our Lives, and again, this issue was discussed in the reading, so you should be able to figure that one out if you go back to the reading. Then we have hashtag Me Too, hashtag Dress Like a Woman, hashtag Oscars So White, hashtag He for She, hashtag No Ban, No Wall, and hashtag Take a Knee. So those are all our hashtags, and here are our possible issues that the hashtags represent. So A is sexual violence against women. B is police brutality. C is racial inequality represented in media. D is travel ban against minority cultures in the United States. E is racial disproportionality. F is racism against African American cultures. G is gun violence in schools, and H is gender equality. So again, you guys are going to match each of these issues down here to their hashtags, which they represent up here. All right, guys, I look forward to hearing your thoughts about the article and seeing how you guys do with this matching activity, and I'll see you back here tomorrow.